What is up? I am back. Let me turn myself down. I'm already loud enough. Sorry. Luckily, we have three other people here. They can keep talking that I trust. So, again, going back to Me Too. Me Too started in 2006 by a bunch of abused women that were being sexually assaulted, harassed, and or raped in relationships and in marriages and in the workplace. Now, I was a part of that Me Too movement back in 2006 because, again, my book, the conception of my book was like 15 years ago. And it had to do with the fact that I was ready to start healing because I was abusive as a wife. I was abusive as a mother, not physically, but verbally and mentally. I was combative with my husband twice, once in front of his family. But I didn't understand where all of this angst and animosity and rage and velocity was coming from. And it wasn't until I started actual talk therapy, not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, not somebody that was going to throw more pills at my face and use deductive reasoning. I harp on deductive reasoning because that and Obamacare is why our suicide rates are going up. I said it and I don't care. Doctors are not allowed to practice medicine anymore. The insurances are practicing medicine. The insurances who don't go to medical school, they're just data entry clerks, glorified data entry clerks, who type into a system your diagnosis, your age, your height, your weight, and they say, oh, you're too young to have this, we're going to deny it. And whether you have $5 million in the bank to save your life or not, we don't actually care. Thanks, Obama. Good job. First black president of America, you fucking killed it. Literally. So now we have this guy. We're not even going to talk about Trump because I voted for him. You can suck it, change channels, I don't care. I'm Republican. I am a lesbian that lives in a Republican land, and I love it. Oh, and I'm married to a man that it could probably be Jesus incarnate, and we will be together 21 years, July 11th. Why would I treat Jesus like shit? Why? Well, because I have a really tragic story. You know, I could use that. Because my body was used as an instrument, as a scanning card, if you will, for transactions, monetary transactions that my dad couldn't cover for his addictions. I have been molested by family members. My mom has tried to kill me twice. All of these things could be, quote unquote, excuses, reasons, whatever, for why I was doing what I was doing. But how do I stop what I was doing? How did I get to the point where I didn't want to hurt anymore because I was hurting the people that I loved the most? When you do that, it's because you don't know love and you don't love yourself. So the Me Too movement that started back in 2006 was started on amazing premises. It had an amazing concept. It still does. It's not past tense. It's misconstrued with the generation Y, Z, and millennials. Again, everybody born after 1994, you're ignorant as fuck unless you choose to educate yourself. So men are running around. And again, I'm Team Johnny Depp, I'm Team Marilyn Manson, and I'm going to tell you why. Why do I have the most viral video on Marilyn Manson on YouTube? Because I came out and had his back in the beginning and still have his back. And if you think that these dudes are done, that the Johnny Depp thing is done and over with, he's just getting started. And I'm proud for the men. As a victim of sexual assault and rape, I got a beautiful child out of that rape. I started looking for the whys. And in that, I found that I needed to excuse myself from situations where I was going to be reactive. I needed to relive the situations that made me so radioactive, which meant that I had to be raped and pillaged and assaulted and homeless and hustling and being shot at and watching people be killed and chopped up and murdered and burned and all of these, the list goes on and on. I had to relive all that. And that was just book 1. I'm ages 4 to 22 in my first book. Did I go to my abuser or any of my abusers? Most of them are dead now. Praise God. They died agonizing deaths, and I'm not fucking complaining. But to the main one, my child's father, biological father, I call him sperm donor. You know, I was just talking to my friend at Pride this weekend about, she saw her ex there and she had a flip out moment and she's like, why can't I shake this bitch? I said, it took me 34 years before I realized I never had to mention CLAY again in my life unless I was going to a fucking pottery class. Like, homie never, ever, ever is on my radar. He is Pluto. We canceled him. Which, by the way, can't cancel planets, just saying. And make up new astrological signs. Go follow my other podcast. Not my radio show, but my podcast. I talk about those things. That's stupid shit. Again, if you missed the first segment and you're just tuning in, as I can see y'all are, let me go to the chat. As I can see y'all are here. I love the middle fingers. Love a good middle finger. Bum, 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 bum. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to give y'all a little love. And you're going to ask me, why do you like haters? Haters make me a lot of money, 1. But 2, they're the people that I come after the most because they need the most healing. So, why do people bully? Why do people hate on each other? Why do people assault people in relationships? And why is it typically always men? It's not. Johnny Depp just proved that. Marilyn Manson just proved that. A lot of men that are not famous and don't have as much money and don't have that platform, it happens to them all the time. Jodi Arias, hello. Lorena Bobbitt, hello. That bitch in Clear Lake here in Houston that ran over her dentist husband in Clear Lake in broad daylight, like, wow, hello. My own mother tried to have my father killed. I wore a wire to throw that bitch in prison. What did my dad do? He wouldn't build her out. He blamed it on mental illness. Well, this bitch never went to the doctor the whole time I knew her. So, is she mentally ill? Or was she? Sure. So was he, and now we are as well. And I am the only sibling in my family that does not have any addictions in life other than to succeed and break the chains that bound me for so many years. being in a relationship. So the difference between Tarana Barnes, the original Me Too creator, who is a friend of mine from 2006, I was a part of that movement because I am a survivor of sexual assault, rape, and molestation in a relationship and within my family, and to pay off my dad's drug debts. Does that mean that your story is any less or more than mine? No, I'm just sharing mine. That's what I was asked to do, so that's what I'm doing. The biggest question is, what is healing? Well, last night I was watching a special about lesbians in Provo, Utah that were born Mormon, and they really struggle with the fact that they are gay, and now they honestly fear that their family is not going to be whole in the third hierarchy, which they consider the celestial level, which is their heaven, where they believe that there are these rooms where their entire family gets to go, which is why they procreate the way they do. If you're not familiar with the Latter-day Saints or Mormonism, the short version is a guy named, what's his name? Joseph something or another. Doesn't matter. I'm not Mormon. You can look it up. Went to New York. He was in Western New York. Said that Jesus came down and had many conversations with him. Jesus, the same guy who spoke a language that today, right now, 12:11 Central Standard Time in America, and around the world, whatever time you're in, nobody speaks or understands Aramaic. But this guy, he said that Jesus came down and spoke to him many times. Jesus was his homeboy. So, he wrote the Book of Mormon. So, in the original Bible, Old and New Testament, hold on, I'm looking up the name. Joseph Smith. There we go. I always come with receipts. I actually study theology and anthropology on purpose because I'm a spiritual worker and I was born different. And in order to not combat, but educate ignorant Christians in their hypocrisy, I have to come with facts. Therefore, I have to know all religions. Mormonism was before Christ. Mormonism came, Joseph Smith said that Jesus did come back from heaven. And he only came to Joseph Smith, and Joseph Smith interpreted what is now known as the Book of Mormon, and we are supposed to accept that as the third book of the Bible. Like literally, Old Testament, New Testament, hello, and the Book of Mormon. Sorry, Joseph, I'm not buying what you're selling unless you're selling me those psychedelics you were on when you were having these conversations with Jesus. I'm not buying what Utah is selling, except their weed, because it's really good. You know why Utah needs a lot of weed and Colorado? There's a lot of fucking weird shit going on out there. You want to know what the weirdest of it is? Sexual assault, rape, and harassment within relationships, marriages, and at work. And now at school. So they do this 2020 special on Hulu. It's called Mormon No More. I highly suggest you go watch it. It's the most beautiful thing. I cried myself to sleep, literally. I had like this mental breakdown. I had just come from Pride, which is so, it's so ominous to be a part of something so big and something that many people have died to get where we are today. Just like America. Everybody says, oh my God, I think my house is haunted. The whole fucking world is haunted because where people die, portals are opened. We build houses on the carcasses of our founding fathers. That's a fact. Why do we filtrate our water? Have you been down underneath and dug out your fucking water pipes lately? No, they've probably been there since the 1800s. So guess what? Rust, calcium, zinc, iron. Did I mention rust? Lime. And then they have a cool little thing called CLR. What does it stand for? Calcium, lime, and rust. What do you use it for? Clean your fucking sinks and restrooms and toilets and stuff. Why? So you don't get sick. So why isn't the government running around digging holes everywhere, repiping stuff? Because they need something to save you from. So the Me Too 2.0 that I have created, I call it Me Too 2.0. Those are the dumbasses who came out 2 years ago, and I'm talking to the everybody born after 1994 that chooses to be uneducated. Ignorant, that's the word I like to use. So, here we are. Why do I call it Me Too 2.0? Because just like the tiki torch burning motherfuckers in Virginia, you East Coast fuckers do not know a fucking thing about the actual Me Too movement, and that it started in 2006 by a lady who has a very tragic story that has a very fucking happy ending. Why am I aggressive? Because your ignorance and your force for change, you're not telling us what change you want. You have women voting for women's rights. Bitch, you got those in 1936. Just saying. Then you want the right to vote? Those came like 4 years later. Read a fucking history book. What are you fighting for? At the end of the most beautiful fucking parade, we have not had Pride in 2 years because of COVID. Most beautiful, and emotions flow just like the waves of the flags flow. And it was hot as fuck yesterday. I actually still have heat exhaustion. I did not care. That flowing of the flags and the flowing of the energy and the love. Why is it so hard to fucking just love? It's so easy to hate. But then hate leads to what? Depression, self-harm, suicide. Why? Ask yourself right now, wherever you are listening to this and the other 3 people here, ask yourself, do you like going to the beach or going to a festival or going to a concert? Think of a time when think of something that makes you happy. What are you passionate about? And then hold on to that feeling for a minute. Get happy, even if you have to go to Disney World. By the way, if you missed my first segment, Disneyland and Disney World are not the happiest places on earth. They are the scariest places on earth, and y'all are dumb. You're dumb for so many reasons. You're dumb because you turn on the news. No news is ever going to give you the right narrative. How do I know? Well, I have high-ranking official friends in the military that I get news from. No, not my kid. They're not that important. And she's not in the military anymore. But I get military news, and I'm a medical professional, so I get medical news that y'all don't get as well. Guess what? It's the truth, but I can't give it to you. It doesn't fit the narrative, which is why I get booted off of so many social media platforms. But now, I've been given a platform like Howard Stern, Joe Rogan, all of the famous antagonist podcasters and vloggers. Now I get to say whatever the fuck I want, and I'm unapologetically me. I'm never, ever, ever going to be a different version of myself other than I used to be a victim, but I'm working on being a survivor. And I actually use the term survivor because I'm here. I shouldn't be. I've actually died 6 times in my life. I have had multiple attempts on my life due to my father's lifestyle. He is no longer here. God rest in peace. But he left happy. He was so suicidal his whole life. And he died in my home, which was hard, especially since my son was the one who found him. At 12 years old, that's a memory you don't want. You can't unsee things. You can't undo actions. You can't unburn ashes. And you can't unsay words. And you cannot undo scars. So if all of that's true, and it is, go try it out. Then y'all need to stop worrying about the word forgiveness and focus on the word healing and what that means. So again, if you actually go to the Me Too movement page, and make sure you go to the right one, because there's 2. That's why I call it Me Too 2.0. These youngsters, they think they have it figured out. But let me tell you what. I met the love of my life when I was 10 years old. We had an abortion when I was 15. And when he found out I was pregnant at 17, he called me a hoe, said it wasn't his, and did not see his name or hear from him again until my daughter, mine and Paul DeLeon's daughter, until she was 6. And even then was a shit. During our time together, he was my best friend. During our first interaction, where it was actually a Mother's Day, the first thing, when I pulled into the driveway, it was my husband. I was pregnant with our son, and Maddie was 6. When I first drove into this very long driveway, that's when I realized that this person still had mind control over me. I instantly looked at my husband and said, I'm crumbling. I am crumbling. This is how we know the Evan Rachel Woods and the Amber Heards of the world are liars, because they stare their antagonist and their abusers in the face like with vengeance. When you are tortured and held captive and you first see your accuser, you can't look them in the eye. You actually get nauseous and want to vomit. It instantly takes you back in time, like fucking Marty McFly going back in time. Instead of going back to the future, we're going back in time, and instantly the abuse kicks in. The front door of this dude's house, they don't use it. I used it on that day on purpose. Right inside the front door entrance to the right is his gaming / office studio that leads into the kitchen and ultimately to the back door where everybody comes in and out. I wanted to see if he removed the carpet that had my blood stain and his semen still there in the carpet. Because on the day that we had been broken up for about a month, it was very, very off and on. I did not know he was abusing drugs during our relationship at all. I didn't. Had no clue, and I'm psychic. I don't choose being a psychic medium, clairvoyant, whatever you want to call me. It doesn't work the way you dumb people think it does. We don't have all the answers all the time. And we actually try to live as normal of lives as possible. This person that I'm talking about, I could say the most wonderful, wonderful things about. I really can. All those things in Hollywood, everybody's moving in fast motion, but it's just him and I in slow motion. The wind, where we're sitting in a hallway in junior high school, so there actually wasn't any wind. The butterflies, the tingles, everything. I know what real love feels like. And I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan. Because it ended tragically, and to this day, have no closure because he's a bitch. But that's okay. He can be that. Because what he's not anymore in my life is a character. He's not my abuser anymore. He's not my attacker anymore. He does not have any mind control or psychological control or any kind of control, emotionally, sexually, attractively, nothing. How do I get to this point? This is why they asked me to speak. How do you get to this point where you don't even look or acknowledge, you don't get that anxiety, you don't want to piss and shit yourself? How do you get to this point? It took me 34 years. Does it have to take you 34 years? No. But I didn't want to face the music. I loved him so much, abuse and all. And this, I've been gay my whole life. He knew this. Everybody who knows me knows I'm gay. Or at least that I was bisexual. But I wanted a family. And I wanted a family that was better than the one that I was given. So, did what I had to do. And I was really good at it. So I stayed in really long-term relationships. They always say you never get over your first love. That's false. I don't have any feelings towards that person at all. And my daughter, I don't call her our daughter. I call her my daughter. My daughter and I were not on speaking terms. That was her doing, not mine. And that's okay. She's going through therapy. She's going to have to work through shit. And the key to healing is dealing. The key to healing is dealing. You know what dealing is? Going back and reliving every single tragic brick that builds up these walls. Now, you don't go down in there and go act like it's your heart's a smash room and start tearing everything up all at once. How do I know? I did that when I wrote my book. And I'm doing it now as I'm writing the second one. And I'm having to work intensely with doctors. That's why I had to pause. That's a doctor. I work intensely virtually with doctors to heal. I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to have to look over my shoulder anymore. If somebody shoots a gun off, I don't want to say hit the deck. I never taught my kids how to go to an escape room. You know why? I never fucking lived in a place that had one. But I grew up with them. My dad did not teach my brother and I fire drills. He taught us how to break down marijuana without grinders. We didn't have grinders back in the day. How to break down kilos of coke, how to bag them, who they were going for. At 5 years old, I was reading invoices, taking orders, sacking it up, bagging it, teaching my 2-year-old brother how to do it. He was just playing with grass. We did not know it was illegal. When your parents are the only guides that you have, what the fuck else are you supposed to do? They're supposed to know everything, right? So do I know where my kids are as teenagers? Of course. I looked at my parents like, y'all are fucking retarded. But my parents actually were fucking retarded. My husband and I are not. But driving into that driveway that day, with my son in my womb, my whole existence sitting in the back seat, a 6-year-old, innocent, happy, loving little girl who has never seen anything crazy. She's living in a condo in Clear Lake, going to the best schools, and now I'm crossing that threshold back into Pasadena, back into Deer Park, because I thought it would be best for her at least to know his mom. His mom is a wonderful human being and always wanted to be a part of her life. Driving down that driveway that Mother's Day, I instantly felt Tarana Barnes' story. I understood sexual assault in a relationship. Pulling up to the front of that Kermit Frog greenhouse, I saw myself at 17 years old standing there with all of this shit that I needed to give back to him. And it was a 2 fucking mile walk in August, by the way. I handed him the box. And he wanted to talk. He was actually really kind. I don't go into detail in the book, but I'm going to do it now because y'all really need to shut the fuck up about the Me Too shit right now in Hollywood. Hollywood needs to shut the fuck up. Celebrities should use their platforms for good. They should not use their platforms to sway people one way or another. You should come with facts and let people deductive reason their own reasoning and understanding of what you're saying. Sidebar. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, disciples of Jesus, all went on the same fucking journey with him. Guess what? They all told 4 different stories. So, every time I tell my story, somebody somewhere picks up a different piece of their puzzle. We're all missing pieces of somebody else's puzzle. Once you can figure that out and figure out that life is a circle, there's highs and there's lows. If you're greedy in the highs, then when Mercury's in retrograde and we're in the lows, we're in the waning part of the moon cycle, you should be taking notes. I talk fast. When we're in the waning part of the moon cycle where Mercury's in retrograde, even you dumb people know about Mercury in retrograde, even if you don't know one fucking constellation. Why? Because that's when all the bad shit happens. Guess what? The rest of us that are enlightened, educated, and went to a school that didn't give us a watered down version of any subject, taught us about the circle of life, the birds and the bees, and the balance. Why does this person have so much why did this person have so much control over my life? I'm married, I'm happy, I'm living where I want to live, living my best life. Hold on 1 second. Y'all carry on, I have to pause. Fuck. This is Teresa.
Hi, Teresa. This is Nicole with Texas 420 Doctors.
Yes.
We're calling to see if now is a good time for us to complete the process with you.
Yes, I recorded my... So, sorry about that. Back to what I was saying. I am now officially the first member of my criminal family to be legally able to smoke marijuana in the state of Texas due to my PTSD. That did happen right there. So y'all don't know, But there was a big pause. The second doctor called, and it's not ironic. I don't believe in irony, but I filled out that application like 30 days ago or so, and they finally called. I knew my appointment was today, but I didn't know anything about the program or the CURT registry or whatever. Each state does it differently, and it's not recreational here in Texas. You have to have one of 13 diagnoses, and they added PTSD finally, and that is what I'm getting emotional because it's a huge. While I'm talking about these huge setbacks in life, this is a huge step forward. Why is smoking weed important to conservative people? Because we like to heal over here. We don't like to live, at least me. Some people thrive in drama. My father was one of those. I actually wake up every day full of life, full of joy, full of love, and just ready to share my story. So while my kids and my family get tired of listening to me, oh, you always talk about the past, because that's how we heal. Again, the theme for today is, in order to heal, you have to deal. And I choose not to participate in Big Pharma anymore. And that's huge coming from me. Somebody who met their insurance's lifetime out of pocket, which was $500,000. I reached that by 32 years old, 10 years ago. And then we lost our insurance because we thrived. Paul and I both thrived during COVID. Oh my God. That was my biggest glow up. His too. And we started playing with the family dynamic. Like, what is this going to be like? Me being openly gay and very open about it, like on all my platforms. He's on dating apps. He's like Kingwood's most eligible bachelor. And we really did it slow. And while some of our kids may think that it was selfish, maybe they still do think it's selfish, they can't deny the fact that I am 100% happy and authentic. Like, when you look at me, I look like what I've always seen in the mirror, or what I wanted to see in the mirror. But what I did see, going back to the topic at hand, is a broken person. Kelly Clarkson has a song, Broken and Beautiful. I'm broken and I'm beautiful. I saw the broken part. All of us see the broken parts. Just like pulling up to that house. If I smell VO5, the gold colored shampoo, not the dark one, but the lighter color, it's very specific. It takes me back to the time that one of the times that I died, had to be taken away by ambulance. I cut my arms really, really bad with an electric clothes shaver over clay. Something clay did. And I was scared. My mom had told me that my dad was writing letters to prison that she wouldn't let me read because they did not fucking exist, and that he was putting a hit out on me and he wanted to come and kill me because she was spending all of his money living with what ended up being my stepdad and his two kids, Stephen and Stephanie, and we're living a whole different life while my dad's offshore. No, he wasn't in prison. He was offshore, making shitloads of money as a chef, and he tries to get off at one of the ports and has no fucking money in his account. Well, Ruben's running around with leather jackets and new swag. My mom was spending all of that money on her new family. And unbeknownst to me, she was telling my dad that I was stealing it to buy Clay extravagant gifts. That was not the case. I would never fuck over my dad. He fucked me over a million times. I just don't have it in me to just wake up and vindictively think about fucking up somebody else's vibe. Like, why do people wake up and do that? I'm asking you all. Because to me, until you're not, I mean, you're guilty until proven innocent. Everyone that I speak to that's outside of my very small circle, we're talking not even 10 people, to get into that circle, it takes you about 15 or 20 years, and even then I put you on probation. Why? Because the people that I was supposed to be able to trust, and they were supposed to protect me, and they were supposed to love me, and feed me, and clothe me, and do all of these things, and raise me to be this amazing thing, right? People risk their lives for the American dream, and I was just born here. They should have tattooed FML across my forehead and just sent me out in the world. Because that's what I said for 3/4 of my life. So I started working on myself after my dad passed away, which was in 2017. I had to. Without my dad's thumb over my life and telling me what to do, waking me up, no matter how far we moved, even when we were in Connecticut. If he just felt like fucking with somebody drunk at night, he would just start at the top and go down, and I was always at the top. And he would throw clay in my face a lot. And he would say a lot of bad things about the way I raised my daughter. My parents actually tried to take Madison away from me a couple of times. And there's a lot of stuff that I did for my daughter, legal and illegal, that she could give two shits about. Do you think that she cares to hear the story about how Clay had to pull up the white carpet in his fucking office because blood and semen were there, and she was probably going to ask one day, and 5-year-olds know what Kool-Aid, red Kool-Aid on white carpet looks like. That's not what that looked like. Sad thing is, when I was raped that day, and I use the word rape because all of the other times I was sexually assaulted during our relationship, I eventually gave in. I did the whole just let it happen. Because I thought my life would be fuller in any capacity just having him there. Again, I'm lesbian as fuck. But he has very feminine qualities, and I'm not gonna put, you gotta read the book. He was into a lot of weird shit. So was I. I mean, I still am. People are sexual beings. Humans are primal sexual beings. But because I was gay, and he was not, everybody says he was, I don't know. He winded up dressing up like a girl in a band, but I don't like labels. I don't at all. Actually, yesterday at Pride, somebody put a button on me, and I was like, oh yeah, it's Pride, let's go. And then I looked at my girls thing, and I was like, yo, and she's feminine as fuck. And I was like, did we actually read these buttons? Mine said them and they, and hers, and she's very feminine, again. Hers said him and his, he and him, or some shit like that. I'm cool with y'all's pronouns if y'all feel that you need them. and I really do try to respect them. But I'm Generation X. I'm going to call it as I see it or feel it. I can usually pick out trans better than I can gays because their energy is completely different. They've completely morphed into a totally different being. That energy is different. So does that mean that sexual assault, if I was to be a boy, change transgender into a male, and say hypothetically Clay was gay, the me now, that motherfucker would have never laid a hand on me. Never. I would have killed him. I would have. And even if I was straight right now and he came to my door, he doesn't have that authority over my life anymore. That is fucking called healing. Being able to talk, getting to that point, and it's not easy. It took 34 years, and I only spent about 6 straight years on and off. 4 really good years. High school changed a lot. I left junior and senior year, and then he was a year ahead of me, so he was like off at community college. We were both obsessive. We were both compulsive. He lied like a motherfucker. Like, he was living a double life I didn't even know about. But I made excuses for the assault because I thought maybe this is the best for me. Thank God for a pause button. Earlier I was live on the iHeartRadio show, and I don't get to hit pause. I can, and I can walk away and the other people keep talking. But been a very, very busy Monday, and so bittersweet, right? Like, so let me finish what I was talking about. So, parents, women, men, children, sexual assault and sexual abuse and rape and molestation. I'm going to throw that out there because it happens more often than you know. It's about as equally as often as you having a gay child. If you have, for example, I'll take my kids. If I have 3 kids, which I do, the chances of one of them being gay and or sexually assaulted, raped, or molested in their lives is severely high. Which is why I keep them securely secluded. I have GPS trackers. Parents, you should download the app Life, as in life and death. Life 360. Swear by it. Even if something, God forbid, happens to your child, the phone gets turned off, the police can still find the phone through the app. Even when it's off. You can't, but the police can. But getting back to why I'm so protective and all of this stuff goes back to pulling up to that house. All those years of being quote unquote happily married. And no, I don't love my husband the same way I love Clay. I've never loved anyone like that again. I don't want to. Well, I changed right now in this conversation. No. But I am at a place in my life where I am finally putting myself on dating apps, and I am going out by myself to gay places. I am opening the doors to new people, and I want to experience true love again without all the hate and anger. Am I saying that I want rainbows and unicorns every day? No, because I'm a hot, spicy chick that likes to do crazy shit. And aggression is just a part of life. Being angry sometimes is a part of life. Road rage is a big part of life. Like, these are things that are actual and are going to continue to happen. If you don't start recognizing the bad behavior in your relationships now, they turn out to be your weapons of war against people that did you no wrong. I'm going to say that again because it's pretty fucking awesome. It's a choice. You can move on and heal, or you can carry that pain and you're gonna use it as swords of war against people that are innocent. I've been doing it for 21 years. And the sad part is, when Clay called, I was still unpacking the boxes from the condo, and Maddie was setting her room up. She was still an only child. All she knew was happiness and love. All she knew was happiness and love. I never told her about him. Everywhere I moved and every time I changed a phone number, I would put pictures of her with whatever address I was living in at the time because, again, I was homeless. I didn't stay anywhere permanently until I met Paul, and we've been together ever since. And I always let him know. But when me and Paul got married, I stopped communicating via mail. And yes, I know it's a federal offense, but I did not have a stamp. I didn't have envelopes. I stole and wrote hot checks for food. And not just for Maddie. Maddie was pimped out. She was that baby. Like, you could tell she was a gangster's baby. But this gangster didn't just supply for my child. If I was going to fall on the sword for kids in the same situation that I was in and that now my baby was in, I wanted to provide for all. And I did. The first thing I did when we got dropped off in the ghetto and my mom took off with my dad's cousin and my dad went back to prison, I put him in prison. He actually hit Maddie on a crack binge. So I called his parole officer, and they came and got him while he was asleep. And we were left with nothing. And this was before Paul. And everybody always asked, well, where's the baby's dad? And I would say, hey, if you find him, let me fucking know. As far as I know, he's kicking it over there, the greenhouse. I'm not going to give his address, but he's in Pasadena. And every time somebody mentioned his name, I had to walk away. Because it was a trigger. It was like a gunshot going off. Gunshots used to scare the fuck out of me. They don't so much anymore. I got over that. I healed. I did not stop the intimate relationship, the intimate part of the relationship. There's a difference between fucking and intimacy. There's a difference. Where Maddie's bio dad really blurred those two. My husband really wanted the whole package. And I sold him the whole package. And he bought it. I told him I was bisexual, so there was that. And I had been with dudes. After having Maddie, I actually became a hoe in Pasadena, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm writing about it right now. Actually, it's in this book that's out. I was a hoe. Was a hoe. Dudes, chicks, didn't give a fuck. But I was in control for the first time in my life. And from that moment forward, I remained in control. But power doesn't equal healing, because power is a deference to dealing. So it's a loaded question I've been asked. How do you heal? How do you get to this place where people don't exist in your universe anymore? They're canceled. It takes years, actual fucking years, and actual work. The most work I've done on myself has been by myself. Me and my talk therapist, not that app Talkspace. She's an actual doctor here in Kingwood. Even if I was driving, whatever, I see her virtually, like I see my 420 doctor virtually. All my doctors are virtual. I mean, I'm a person on the move, and we only have one car right now anyway, so virtual kind of works for me. But why do I have a 420 card? Why do I still suffer? The doctors still say I suffer from PTSD. I am always going to suffer from PTSD. To think that I could undo 42 years of my life, and what? By 84, I'm going to be happy? No. No. I am choosing by an opportunity that was offered to me to write a story about my life that's now turning into other opportunities for the world to see on a bigger platform in the form of actors. That's going to be the greatest accomplishment next to making that decision to have my baby. People often ask, because I had a full ride 8-year scholarship, boarding, housing, food allowance, everything. And being a doctor being a neurosurgeon is all I wanted in life. And to travel. And people ask me a lot, especially the ones that read the book, do you regret that decision? No, I don't. I think that my daughter does, though. So I don't use my spiritual abilities on myself or my family. I have my own spiritual guide that I go to, and I'm a clergyman and a, whatever you want to call a high priestess, if you will. I mean, not if you will, I am. I'm very ceremonial. I'm a part of a clan, a very big clan. Those elite people you hear about, they real, just saying. They real. And the reason that people get to be, quote unquote, elitist isn't because of their money, isn't because of their power. It isn't because they didn't have struggles or because they had silver spoons and they had trust funds, and they were just born lucky. Let me let you in on a little secret. Nobody is fucking born lucky. Everybody struggles. The people up there, the elitists, let me tell you, they struggle the most. That's why they're full of nonprofit organizations and at the end of the year give all their fucking money away. They have more problems than any of us. And please believe, the sexual assaults, the sexual harassments, and the rapes, and the molestations, and the sex rings, all of it is only being done behind closed doors, usually between two people that are supposed to love each other. So you don't know how to recognize it. You're so blinded by love that you accept this person's poor behavior and you just, quote unquote, let it happen. There's been plenty of times I've wanted to just put my face and just suffocate until it was over. Now, shit, when I was packing for Pride Thursday, like, you could not tell me. I was busting out my toys, my tasers, my nipple. Please. I do not have intimacy issues anymore. I want to be intimate. I want to love somebody new. I don't want somebody I already have a past with. I don't want anything with old drama. You know why? I wrote about everything that was important in the first book. I'm working on the second, third, and fourth. And I have spiritual guidebooks. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's coming out. But if I've wrote about you already, you don't matter to me. What you did to me does not affect me at all. It doesn't. Now, the stuff that I've been through and the stories I've heard, that my kids have heard me tell, and why I dwell in the past. I'm not dwelling in the past. I'm healing, but I'm also working, bitch. So when you ask for allowance, kind of understand that. Trust me, I remind them every time they need something or ask for money. I'll be like, are we talking past, present, or future? Because they don't understand healing because they're not hurt people. Excuse me. Gastric bypass and all. If y'all heard me gurgle. My son knows healing because he's been torturously hurt. Finding a dead body at 12, being bullied, being harassed, all kinds of other shit. He was suicidal. Attempted a couple of times. He's been put in a couple of hospitals. I never wanted that for any of my kids. No parent should want that for any of their kids. And now the government says, even if you're going to have that baby with the intention of killing it or torturing it or burning it or whatever the fuck you need to heal, you're going to have that baby. And since it took them all these years to overturn Roe versus Wade, now another minority male, not an old dusty white dude, old minority male says, well, if we can accomplish this, then we can abolish same-sex marriage. Back in the early 2000s, when same-sex marriage became legal in certain states, they had it for a year, and then it was done. Well, I got news for you, Mr. Thompson, and all of you out in D.C. Y'all don't get to make decisions about my life. You don't get to make decisions about any legal citizen of America's life as it pertains to what goes on behind their closed fucking doors. But let me tell you what you do have the right to stand up for? Women and children that come to you and say that they're being abused in their relationships while they have the markings and the rape specimens. My mom, the first time, I told y'all earlier, there's 2 times in my life where I saw a glimpse of a maternal bitch. The first time was the day that I walked home after being raped. I had blood and semen coming out of both ends. It was hot. I don't know if you're familiar with Houston, but it's fucking hot. Humidity makes you feel sticky, even if you just stepped out of the shower. So I got blood coming out the backside, the front side. I'm wearing shorts. I have my Doc Martens on. And I gotta walk 2 fucking miles in the heat in broad daylight, crying, makeup smeared, I have a bruise on my face. Something my mom was all too familiar with. I walked in very shamefully. I felt shame for what happened to me. I felt shame. I felt like it was my fault. I felt that I should have known better. I was very athletic built, much like I am now, just without all the loose skin. I've lost 274 pounds, but I was only like 160 pounds, 150 at the most, and I was a dancer, so I was very muscular. I felt that I should have fought harder. I felt betrayed, bamboozled, used, abused, worthless, trashy. When somebody uses your body for that kind of fulfillment, with that kind of history and foundation, that's a war zone your brain doesn't understand. That's why we stay. Because if we can accept that this person has this bad behavior and we can make excuses for it, then we lean on the good times. It's the opposite of what Jelly Roll said. When you're in it. But when you get out and you tell your truth, and that truth has to do with other people and their actions, oh, well, then that's fucking wrong. I'm here to tell you, suck my dick. You are not going to ever tell me or any other females that stand behind me and Me Too the original back from 2006. All you millennial bitches with your Me Too 2.0 don't know shit about nothing. Y'all need to go home and read some books. Get the fuck off the internet and read a book. While you're doing goat yoga and weird shit at the gym and turning yourselves into pretzels, listen to an audiobook. You're fighting for women's rights you already have. I'm going to say it again, bitches. You are fighting for rights you already fucking have. So why don't you fucking use them? You ever heard of the power of the pussy? Ever notice why? Ever question why everything triangular is coincided with the shape of a vagina? Everything in the world is a fucking trinity. And you need to be the Mother, the Daughter, and the Holy Ghost of your temple. And if that means that you gotta call out your person and speak your truth, you come out on the other side not only stronger, wiser, and empowered. You come out fucking healed. That is the most amazing thing in the world. I don't care if my healing offends people. I don't care if my healing isn't conducive to what pop culture says I can and cannot talk about. It is my body. God already took my organs from me. So you can take your I'm still going to stand there and Ray versus Roe. Fuck. I'm getting mad, so y'all already know. Wade versus Roe. And now you're going to try to fuck with the alphabet mafia? It's not going to work. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to work because of people like me. You will never tell me who I can and can't love. You will never tell me who I can and can't marry. You will never tell me what I can and cannot do with my body or my wife's body. You will never tell me shit. Because a little punk motherfucker in junior high school taught me most lessons of all. More than my bullies, more than my parents, more than my teachers, more than God. That motherfucker broke me down to where I didn't have a crumb to crumble anymore. But you know what? This bitch is living her best life. Healed. And now I work on the relationship with my kids. I work on the relationship that I have with other people. I am non-reactive anymore. Just last night, conversation with my husband was going a different direction. I said, I am going to eject myself from this conversation. I can't eject. Nobody can eject. There's no eject button on our brains. So you have to have the willpower to stand up and say, no. If that's the only thing you hear this hour and 30 minutes, the word no is the same it has the same meaning in every language, and it is the same word in every language. It's the most powerful word in every language of the entire fucking world. And nobody uses it when they need to. So, yeah, I do stand with Me Too. But Terrian Barnes Me Too. Because I was a victim of sexual assault in a loving relationship. And I did make excuses for poor behavior. Do I blame him? Nope. I'm healed. I don't hold any resentment. He doesn't even matter. I have to write about him right now, so I can talk about him. That's fine. But what I'm writing about right now isn't too fucking friendly. So there's a lot of behind the scenes shit that a lot of people are finally going to have answers to. But I don't do this for those people that are just curious. I'm doing it for the people that are in the relationships, for the wives who are faking headaches, faking periods, faking that being asleep, hoping you can only get away with a hand job or a blow job. Hopefully he doesn't want to chain you up tonight. If you're living in that life and you're not living or walking in your truth, male, female, I don't care. Even if you're a part of the LGBT plus community, reach out to the Trevor Project. Reach out to Born This Way Foundation. They will house you. They will feed you. They will put you in school. They will help guide you through your transition. If your parents don't fucking accept you, don't accept that. But know that it's not your fault that you were born this way. Thank you for listening to Dysfunctionally Functional on iHeartRadio. Giving a big shout out to iHeartRadio for giving me this platform and allowing me to be as unfiltered as I am. I will be back tomorrow, actually. I have to do an hour every day for the next couple of weeks until I leave. So, a lot more controversial shit coming at you. It's going to be a lot of guidance, a lot of information that a lot of people do not want to talk about. But as long as I can still talk, and I don't have to get dressed up so y'all can see me, I'm going to keep talking because you know what? Right now, let's see, I've been on the air for a total of an hour and 15 minutes. There's probably been 18 million sexual assaults, rapes. Somebody's being molested right now while I speak. There's women and children in fear for their life around the fucking world. Here in America, they're being ripped away from their husbands at our border. See, it is kind of crazy how the world is opening back up, and over the last 2.5 years, people figured out whether they really liked themselves or they didn't. If they liked their spouses or their kids or they didn't. Lots of suicides, lots of divorce, lots of people switching teams. Switching teams shouldn't make such a big deal. You should be able to love any and everyone and not be fucking judged for it. And my last note is to the religious mofos of the world. I'm a Christian too. Got my baptism date tattooed right here on my arm. I want to remind you of a couple of things that you may have missed in the Old and New Testament. Judge not, lest thee be judged. No motherfucker can judge me but God. Just like nobody can judge you but God. And treat thy neighbor as you would treat yourself, as you want to be treated. My fucking neighbor put dog shit in my fucking mailbox. You know what I did? Well, I didn't commit the federal offense that she did, but I videoed her and I put it back in her yard, and then I blasted her on the Nextdoor app. If she was to do that again right now, would I react the same? No, because I'm working on being non-reactive. I'm learning to digress and recluse. And that gives me the opportunity to take that brick and look at it and say, okay, do we want to build another piece of the wall? Do we want to, every time you put a brick in your wall, you lose a little bit of light. So when you remove the brick, your light shines through. People hate that. That's why I love haters. People hate the fact that I'm doing what they want to do so bad. And my clients are like, why can't you just tell me how to do it? I am. You have to relive your pain. In order to heal, you have to deal. That's the fucking name of the game. And in order to do that, you got to be a loyal ass motherfucker to yourself. And no, you don't go to your antagonist like a 12-step program and tell them, blah, 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 blah. But what you can do is write it and help save people and make money. This is your testimony. People look around, religious people look around all day long. All they hear about, I want to tell my testimony. I want to tell my testimony. And they're so inspiring. And everybody else in the pews is like, man, I want to be inspiring. Bitch, get up and be inspiring. Y'all need to turn your questions into affirmations. Will I find true love? I hate that question as a psychic. I hate it. I don't do psychic and magic. Nope. I mean, love and magic. That don't go together. If it don't come from God, it ain't right. So, but that's the most asked question I get. Will I ever find true love? Sure. When God feels that you're ready. And it starts with you. God is not going to put you in a relationship of true love and soulmate and bliss and riding off into the sunset and all that shit when you got 42 years of fucking negative baggage. That person don't go, that's not that person's shit, but you're going to pile it on them because you're tired of carrying it. No. Reverse your way of thinking and start manifesting by instead asking, will I find true love? Where I won't be raped, abused, or stuff shoved in holes and orifices it shouldn't go, and dressing up like a Asian person when I'm clearly fucking Hispanic. Whatever the case may be. You say, I am not your captive anymore. I am not a victim anymore. I am healing. I am worthy of love. That starts with the 5-minute mirror challenge. For those of you that have already gone and subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. You got way more of this shit on there. They gave me a platform. I run with it. I thank you all. The whole dynamic here of my show is to use my experiences, my negatives that I've turned into positives, and teach you how I did that. And it's really, really hard. And it sucks. But you can always text me. I make myself available by text 24/7. Unless I'm asleep because I have a reading or a mediumship or something, I am always available to everyone. Because everyone needs someone to talk to. Everyone needs someone to bounce ideas off of. But I'm always going to send you home with homework of self-reflection, and it starts with you and the man in the mirror. Thank you very much for listening. I am your co-host today, Teresa De Leon, and I am the host of Dysfunctionally Functional. You can catch my show every Friday on anywhere you listen to your podcast, but we really love iHeartRadio here, so that's who I'm plugging. Let's take on the challenge of one dysfunction. Take one negative in your life today, or whenever you hear this, and flip it around and figure out what the positive is. What is the lesson? Thank you for listening. Let's identify our dysfunctionalities and make them functional. Thank you very much.